Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo shopping live stream where we go online and look for deals together. And I try to curate a few items that I think are particularly good deals, and then also talk about some other products that may not be on sale but are reasonably priced and quite useful. And yeah, I took a week off. Some people were asking me what happened to the stream, and yeah, I'd take a few days off. It was tax season, and I had to do some other things, so uh, couldn't do my shopping live stream last week. But it's good to see everyone. Let me get the chat window out so I can talk to you guys a little bit. And 1 second, and I'll get my windows arranged, and we'll get started. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right, very good. So I see Darko's here. Good to see you. And Roger, good to see you. Yeah, it's quite warm here as well. We're at about 70 degrees. Um, and it's going to be, I think we're supposed to hit 90 today, but it's not going to be too humid. So I may have to cut the grass, first grass cut of the season. You can see I'm already wearing a short sleeve shirt today. And let's see, make a pickup of, oh, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I tried to sell merch some years ago and none of it sold, so I just gave up on it. And oh, thank you for the audio check. I appreciate it. And Ethan, good to see you. And actually, we're going to talk a little bit about this macro lens today, Ethan. This is on sale again for 100 and, I don't know, like 120 bucks, I think. I have a link down below. It's available in most mounts. I have the, of course, Micro Four Thirds mount. It's a fixed 4.5x macro, and there's no infinity focus or anything like that, so it's a dedicated macro lens. And to really get the most out of this, you have to use it with a macro rail. And the Oben macro rail is on sale right now for $89. The one I have is a Nissi. This has a little bigger knob on it than the Oben rail, but this one's not on sale. It's like, I forget this. I got this on sale for about $69 or $70, but this normally sells for $130. But this is not on sale right now. But the Oben one is very similar, and it just has the smaller knob on one end and a crank on the other. But I kind of like this one because it has the additional markings on it there, but it's not critical. Any macro rail with this lens, and then I'd also recommend like a tabletop tripod. I like this one here. These sell for like 50 bucks now. I wish, I got this for 25, I think, when it was on sale. It's not on sale now, but this works pretty well. It's very stable. It's a little bulky. It's not the one I take with me out in the field, but for tabletop type macro stuff, this is a great little tripod. Very stable. The one I take out in the field it's in my car. It's a carbon fiber, and it's much thinner and lighter, and that'll do in a pinch. And it's great for taking out in the field because it's not bulky. But like I said, for indoor stuff, I would use that. And Ethan says, the lens reminds me of the Olympus film objectives you could attach. Oh, maybe. I'm not familiar with that, but this is not much lens. Actually, there's a big hole inside. So these are like extension tubes kind of built in. The lens is actually all the way up here at the front, and it's a tiny little thing. So it's probably very similar to what you're talking about. The same concept, right? But it's just been designed all in one. And it has an aperture of f2, although I found I normally shot this like at f5.6 or f8, because the depth of field is so shallow, you really need to expand it and stop the aperture down. I always get that confused, but you want a smaller aperture. So you want to stop the lens down to like f5.6 or f8. And you can get some great results. I'm going to, I didn't use it much in the wintertime, and I just got this late fall. But I would say I'm going to try and do more with this now that spring is here, and get out with this. So now's a good time to get one of these when it's on sale for 120 bucks brand new. And like I said, it works for full frame cameras as well, so it has a pretty wide circle. And then I see Larry's here. Good to see you. And do you have example images of that lens? I do. They're a little bit older, but let me see if I can pull it up. I only did a few grains of sand that actually Ethan sent me with one of his photos. I have it hanging up on a wall, that photo. I framed it and hung it up. But he included the sample sand from his image. Let me see if I can find it. It might be on my Flickr page. Huh. Flickr is not cooperating today. I gotta log in. Flickr's not working right now. So let me see. I gotta log in. Let me try it now. Okay, there. I only have 2 shots here. But these are little fine pieces of grain, sand or garnets and stuff. And I used the macro rail with this lens on that tripod and the OM3. I'm not good like Ethan where you can stack these on top of each other. And I used Helicon Focus software to stack this, but Photoshop stacks and a lot of other different software can do focus stacking. I just found Helicon to do the best job for me. So these are the only 2. I got a bunch that are just crap that I really, because it's just like any other photography. It requires developing your skill set and a feel for how to use the lens. But I think this fall, or I'm sorry, this spring, I'm going to take it out some more. And good morning, Paul. Good to see you. I did get your email. I'm sorry I didn't respond to that. So, in previous streams, we talked about the new OM3 astrophotography camera. And, it's really the first camera I've ever said, don't buy it, from OM Systems. I didn't recommend it. And my rationale was that you're paying for a lot of things that you're not going to use in astrophotography. High speed, the high speed shutter, the whatchamacallit, focus stacking and high-res shot mode. Well, they use high-res shot mode in Astro. They gave some examples there, but the camera is designed and has so many features in it that are just not related to astrophotography at all. Like you're not going to need, super high ISOs or, a bunch of things, right? But that said, for normal wide field type astrophotography, like doing Milky Ways and auroras and even some deep sky stuff, if you're going to do single shot, it can do a lot, right? You can do a lot with the 60-second shutter. But let me ask you, Paul, did they make any modifications to the shutter speed? Meaning, can you do more than 60 seconds? Because that's one of the main limitations of doing deep sky astro on a tracker, is that the OM1 or the OM3 doesn't have any way to set the shutter speed longer than 60 seconds, and there's no way to remotely shutter it using a remote trigger in any way. With an interval timer, right, where you would use it on a tracker. Because typically deep sky astro, you take hundreds of shots on a tracker, and then you have an interval of 2 or 3 minutes, and then you do dithering. I mean, it's a whole thing, right? Astrophotography. And there's a lot of dedicated astrophotography cameras that'll do that for a lot less money, and you're not paying for a lot of things. Now, the way OM Systems markets it is mostly for single shot type astro, wide field stuff, wide angle. And for that, it works great. And a lot of other companies have done that, right? You had a Nikon had some astro versions. I think it was the D810, might have been the D800. Fujifilm has one. But those all had controls for remote release, remote interval timer type things that you could use it for deep sky as well. But the other problem is that, and this is what Paul tried to address, is that, your colors are off, right? Because it has a special notch filter in it for infrared or whatever that frequency is, so that it can see the hydrogen because the universe is 99% hydrogen, right? So they have a special hydrogen type filter in it to capture like 4 times more light or whatever that number is. So you'll get much, much cleaner images, much more vibrant galaxy type colors from an astro dedicated camera. And what Paul did is he used a color checker, one of those color cards, to calibrate the camera for regular daylight use, so that you do get natural colors. And I assume that once you create that color profile, you can go out and just use it as a regular camera. But it just seems like it's not ideal, right? It's not an ideal setup for astrophotography. So I would say my recommendation stands. I wouldn't get it for astrophotography if you really want to get into deep sky astrophotography. But it's certainly capable of doing wide field astrophotography very competently, and some limited deep sky if you're fine with the 60-second shutter. And then Darko says there's no bulb. There is a bulb mode, but the problem is you cannot use it with an intervalometer, right? So that's why you can't do 2-3 minute exposures with an intervalometer on a tracker for deep sky, because you can't have the camera fixed for 3 minutes to capture an image in the sky, because then you'll get star trails, right? So you have to put it on a tracker. And then if you're gonna invest in a tracker, you need to have an intervalometer, right, external, that you can plug into the camera, and then take multiple shots and then blend those together, for deep sky and much higher resolutions and much richer colors and things like that. So that is the challenge as an astro camera, is that if it just had a way to use the intervalometer, like if they could change the maximum shutter speed to say 15 minutes, right? Like a lot of cameras do that, or more. Then you could use the camera's internal intervalometer with the maximum shutter speed and put it on a tracker and do the deep sky astro that way. But as it stands, unless they made that modification in the firmware, I don't see how you can use it effectively, unless you want to limit yourself to 60-second exposures. And I've certainly done that. I've done 60-second exposures, and then I captured like, 80, 100 images. I can show you one or two that I did with my, I can't remember which camera. Let's see. It was, yeah, this one. So this is 80 images stacked. I used the OM1 with the 300 f4. But the OM1, you can use an external intervalometer, right? Or you can use the camera's internal intervalometer at 60 seconds. And these are perfectly fine. This one is 149 60-second images stacked. This one is 47 images. So no question that you can get, really nice images, deep sky with the 60-second limiter and using the camera's internal. So, but it just seems like you're paying a lot of money for things that are not related to astrophotography in the camera. I just feel like for $2,000, I know the camera's more than that, but for $2,000, you can get an extremely competent astrophotography setup. You can get the tracker, the telescope, the camera, the software, the little box for dithering and all kinds of things if you really want to get into it. Or you can buy a fully automatic system for $2,000 that will actually find the target automatically and do all of this stuff. So if you want to get into deep sky astrophotography, I feel like that's the better way to go. But if you just want to do wide field astrophotography, it seems like the OM3 is fine, the OM3 Astro version. And yeah, so not in camera, but with 36 and stack for a couple hours on a tracker, that is better if you get occasional ruin shot from, yes. So like I said, I showed just a few images that I did. But I believe I was using an external intervalometer, but you could just as easily use the camera's internal one. But with the external one, in this case, it was actually plugged into the tracker itself that had a shutter release. It would trigger the camera on its own. And the buttons aren't lighted, and I don't know if it has a red screen, like if you can change the screen to be red instead of the normal full color display. They could certainly do a lot of things in firmware, like a red screen, expanding the shutter, right, making it longer. Those two things alone would make it much more viable. But again, it's you're still paying for all of photo things that you don't need for astro. And yeah, I don't know about a black OM3. That would be even better, right? Have an all black version with a red screen. So we've gotten many questions about the OM3 black version. It's been a big request. However, the company has not indicated any plans to move forward with this request. Yeah, I don't know why. It seems like it'd be an easy thing to do, right? And Paul says, bulb can be used with application if you don't have a tracker. Wide field is up to 30 seconds, okay. I.e. the 8 to 17. Yes, at 8 millimeters, you could probably do a 30-second shot. I've used my 8 millimeter fisheye Pro for some wide field stuff. I found 20 seconds was kind of my personal limit. Longer than that, I did start to see a little bit of eggshells. And Roger says, when you use the tracker for astro, well, doesn't that mess up your landscape foreground? Yes. So typically what you'll do is you'll do one exposure for the landscape, right? And then, because you're going to be stacking anyway. So you do an exposure for the landscape, and then you blend that in with your astrophotography shots. So let's say you got 100 astro shots that you stack together. Then you get a single image, and then you take your single image for your landscape, and then you blend those together in Photoshop. Dargo says, to all, have a great stream. Meeting time in 10 minutes. Wish I could stay. Oh, okay. We'll catch up with you later, Darko. Good to see you. And Paul says, I agree. For the average use, the OM3 is not recommended. Yes. And shoot the foreground on track, then turn on the tracker. Yeah. So yeah, you just do 2 exposures. I don't think I have any good examples of that. Let me see this one. I think I did it for this image, a star trail, because the trees aren't all messed up, right? Actually, no, this is a live comp shot. That doesn't count. I did do it for this one. So I blended this foreground, right, of this house, because it was pitch black. So I did this long exposure down here. This might have been like a 1/10 of a second or something, you know, something really slow at a high ISO. And then I blended in the astro shot. If I recall, that was, no, that's 2 single shots. But that's the same idea, right? I don't have any good examples of that here, though. This is one where I blended the, you know, this is the same idea, but it's not exactly the same thing. That's just an HDR shot, I think. But anywho, and this one, this is way back when, 2016. This is before I was doing multi-stack type stuff. Yeah, I don't have any good examples. Gray Vanzini is here. So let's get into some deals here. So I talked about the macro lens. And on my deal page, and links are down below for all of this stuff. But, you know, there's some filters here. I'm always a big fan of ND filters. We have the 62 millimeter, which is good for a lot of the micro four third lenses. And then we have a 49 millimeter, which not too many micro four third lenses are 49 millimeters, but if you shoot other camera systems, I know a lot of the Sony lenses have this. Nikon has some 49s. You know, a lot of the full frame cameras have 49s. They're smaller lenses. You know, it's a good deal. For 12 bucks, you get the CPL and you get 2 ND filters that you can stack, and you can do some long exposures. Now, memory card prices have been just skyrocketing. This is about the best deal I could find, even though it's a little bit of overkill for most people, a V90 card, but it's super fast, and this is a good brand. And this pricing is not too far off what it was in the past. I think I paid $183 for my V90 256 gig card. So this is like a 219 or 220. So it's more, but it's not double the price or triple the price like a lot of memory cards are now. So this is a pretty good deal for a V90 256 gig card. And very few cameras will benefit from this speed, you know, over say a V60 card. which is about half the price of this. But for those cameras like I would imagine the GH7, the GH6 that have very high bitrate video, and also some of the Sony cameras have extremely high bitrate video, this is almost a requirement, right? So if you know you need it, you'll know you need a V90 card. I wouldn't buy this just, out of the blue. I would buy it only if you know you need it. Otherwise, I recommend a V60 card. Now, when it comes to V60 cards, I have one down here. This is a generic, but it's got pretty good reviews, and it's $67 here. So it's a quarter of the price. It's going to give you the same performance in most cameras, and it's like 3 or 4 times the performance of a regular V30 card. So this is really good if you do a lot of birding, where you're doing pro capture, high-speed shutters, high-speed continuous shutter modes, things like that. This will make a big difference in your buffering. So I can recommend this card for its speed and its pricing. And it's been around a while. I mean, I've seen this generic brand on Amazon for a while, and it's got 208 decent reviews. If you look at the negative reviews, they're no different than the negative reviews you see even on high-end cards, brand name cards. So, and I've bought generic cards before. I've been recommending them on and off over the years. Like, I have a couple that are still working great today. I bought the other brand, I can't remember the name of it. It's in my OM3 here. But I've been using it in my OM3. But this one is really expensive now, if you can get it. Yeah, EM Tech. This EM Tech. It was on sale for $36. And I had it here on my channel, on my live stream. And I know Heather bought a couple of these, and she's very happy with them. And I've bought this. I've been using this for several months now, and it's been flawless. I haven't had any issues with it. So this Digiera card that I'm recommending now is kind of in the same vein, in that, I would buy it sight unseen, but based on the reviews and the length of time it's been on Amazon, it seems like a decent card for the money. But I haven't been using this card for years, so it's hard for me to say the long-term reliability or my experience with it. But this Digiera card, if you want a good card for birding or any kind of sports action things, you have to get a V60 card. It'll make a big difference in your buffering, and also offloading the images onto your computer. So there's that. And then going up to, and then I'll just answer this question real quick. I've been doing a lot of video lately on my OM3, and would a V90 card be a better choice for the one you've been talking about, in your opinion? No. Most of the video on the OM3, you can get away with a V30 card. You don't have to spend that much. I think any of the V30 cards will support anything the OM3 can do. So you don't need to spend a lot. You can get a V30 card if you're just talking about video, but I would still recommend a V60 card over the V90 for the OM3. Kingston sells some V60 cards, but they cost twice as much as the Digiera one I just showed you. And Kingston is it's a premium brand in my opinion, and it's a better video. You can probably, it's just a premium card. It's a better card. So if I look for a Kingston, Kingston V60. Yeah, this is a really good card. So I would say if you want a premium V60 card with a good brand, this is a good card to get. So I'll give you a link to this one in the chat section. That, without a question, will be good for video, but also for photography, for buffering and things. I'm just looking, just trying to see if there's anything else in here. You know, Lexar, this is a good one. That's a V60. But the Kingstons seem like they're a little cheaper. So that's what I would recommend. All right, so coming back to my deal page, this Station PC is an interesting device. I've talked about this and I bought one. It's on sale with the coupon for 240 bucks. I think that's what I paid for mine. And I have it. I put it, oh, here. This is a really, really interesting device for people that like to travel and want to back up their memory cards in the field. So it's basically a SSD and SD card reader. So what you do is you put your SD card in here. Got a stack of them here. These are smaller ones, but you know, you can just put your SD card right in here. One way or the other, there. So you put your SD card right in here. It kind of, you know, clicks in. And then you push this button and it just backs up everything on the SD card to your internal SSD. So this doesn't come with an SSD. I happen to have a 2 terabyte SSD laying around because I took it out of my laptop and upgraded to a 4 terabyte about 3 or 4 years ago. So I had this 2 terabyte just kind of sitting around, nowhere to go, right? I didn't have another laptop to put it in, and I tried to use one of those external SSD card cases where you can use it as an external drive, but 2 terabytes just a little bit too small to use on my desktop, right? Here in my studio for doing backups and things. And as a working drive, it's still a little bit too small. I really need about 4 terabytes. So, but as an SD card backup out in the field, this is very fast, very easy, and it works great, and it's wireless, right? It has its own built-in battery. You put in your SSD inside, and then you can just put this in your backpack or your bag, and when you're out in the field, you can back up your memory cards to SSD and then keep going, right? Reformat your SD card and keep going. So I really like this for 240 bucks. I don't know what a 2 or 4 terabyte SSD sells for now, but if you have an extra one laying around, this kind of is a no-brainer. I think if you're going to have to go from scratch and buy a new 4 or 2 terabyte SSD and this together, it's a pretty substantial investment. And you're going to have to think pretty hard if it makes sense for you to do that. It might be cheaper to just buy more SSD or SD cards, right? And keep those as spares. So instead of, you know, buy some additional SD cards might be cheaper than going this route at this point. So I would say this makes sense if you have an SSD laying around right now that you want to put to good use. this makes a lot of sense. Okay. So I bought a ton of SD cards a while back and then found a little envelope with another ton that I bought a while back. Old age and poor memory has benefits. Yep. I've been there. I've bought things twice because I forgot I bought it once already. All right, going back to the deal page. So there's that, the station PC. It does a lot of other things. It has some wireless functionality and stuff. I don't use that much. I use it simply as a backup. And it's great, particularly like doing events where you have you and another photographer going out. You can back up that photographer's SD card and take it with you. You know, you don't have to take the SD card away from them. You can just copy it and give it back to them. So there's some good uses for it for if there's more than one photographer in the field. You can think of a lot of different ways to use it, but I like it a lot. Now, Ugreen has a lot of good deals on power supplies, right? So this power bank I can recommend, 25,000 milliamp. This is great, particularly if you have a laptop. You can power your laptop with this, so you don't have to find a plug. Like a lot of times I'll go to the library with my laptop, and I hate bringing that big block that my laptop has. I can just bring this instead, and I can power my laptop, recharge my phone, do all kinds of things, right? Charge my camera. So this is also really useful for astrophotography, where you're going to run your camera overnight. You can plug, and not only astro, but any kind of time-lapse photography. You can power your camera with this, and this will power just about any camera on the market that has PD delivery available, USB-C port. So these are really useful. I use mine all the time for things like that. And you want to get a good cable, so you can get a single cable here. This cable is not only 240 watts, but also USB 4, Thunderbolt 4, does 8K triple display. This is a data and power cable combined. And it's a really good deal for $18 from a good brand. I did find another set of cables from Anchor. This is a 2-pack, but this is charging only, okay? 240 watt charger. It does do data, but it's going to be at a very, very slow speed. So I wouldn't use this for data. It'll work in a pinch, but for data, this is terrible, and it doesn't have 4K and all of that. This is primarily a charging cable, and that's why I recommend getting the red one. I like to buy red cables for charging, or something that has some red in it to indicate. Like I have this one here. This is a smaller one. This has red rings around it, so I know I use this just for charging and not for data. And I have multiple various other cables. Anyway, they're in a box over there. But I like to buy red for charging, so that I don't confuse it with a data cable when I need a data cable. And this is a good desktop charging station, 100 watts. It's great for charging your batteries and flashes, because all the flashes seem to have their own charging capability now, charging batteries with the USB-C ports built in. I'm always charging something, constantly, all day, every day. I have a charging station behind me that I use every day, and I use one of these. Not this brand, I have a more generic one, but since you can get a Ugreen one for about the same price I paid for my generic one, you might as well get the brand name one. And these use the new GaN, or gallium arsenic. I believe that's what it stands for. Basically all that means is they can make it a little smaller and run cooler and more efficiently. So it's not superior in terms of charging, but it is more efficient as a charging device. So it's going to run cooler and more reliably, supposedly. I love this little charger here. I bought mine last year. Well, gosh, it's been almost 2 years. But this will give you PD charging in your car up to 100 watts. I don't recommend putting a 100-watt PD device and using it in here because it's going to overheat and it's going to melt. Okay. I mean, I'm sure Ugreen has some throttling or whatever to minimize. It has some overheat protection, but why push it if you don't have to? I would only charge up to 30 watts in this device. So most cameras are 10 or 20 watts if you're going to be charging the battery in your camera. So most devices do 18 to 20 watts, and that's certainly well within the capacity of this. And I think I paid $25 for mine, but this is really, really useful. I use this all the time in my car for charging my batteries and my phone. It'll fast charge my Samsung Galaxy phone. I assume it'll work the same on Apple stuff. And charging your tablets, things like that, in your car while you're out on the road. Invaluable to have this kind of thing. And this is an interesting cable. It's I think this is 100 watt. Right, yeah, this is 100 watt. But instead of having loose cables, this kind of retracts into itself. So if you want a little bit more tidy setup, $12 for a 100-watt charging cable that retracts. So lots of good stuff from Ugreen this week. Those are my picks for the Ugreen stuff. And then the flashes are still on sale to some extent. There's 30 bucks off the Godox Luxmaster. This is great for event photography. If you need a 28 to 75 lens for your Sony, $6.99 for a Tamron G2. This is an excellent lens for $6.99. It's better than spending $2,000 on the Sony version of this, and this is probably 99% the quality. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I know this lens gets extremely good reviews, and at this price point, it's a no-brainer if you need sort of a standard zoom range. And then, of course, this diffuser is available again. This was out of stock for a while. I bought mine last year, but I like the flexible. I have it right here. This is really good for macro stuff. But I like this flexible part here. So when I mount this onto any of my lenses, it holds nice and secure. It doesn't just drop down, right? Because it has a little bit of elastic here. And I can use this on my 60 macro lens, this 4.5x macro lens, whoops, things like that. And then it collapses very easily, and it's easy to take with you. I might get another one because mine is starting to wear out. I can show you, like here on the bottom, you can see it's wearing out. Eventually this is going to go all the way around and come off. But for 10 bucks, I think this will last me about another year, right? So 2 years for 10 bucks. Not bad. And the reason it's kind of beaten up down here is because a lot of times you're resting the camera down low on the ground. So this gets a little bit of wear. I suppose you could DIY something. Maybe put some duct tape there, before it gets any worse. Maybe I'll do that. Because once it rips, then you'll never get it back on. But I think a little duct tape might work. I might have to do that. So let me just let me back up here, and I want to thank you so much, Paul, for your support. I really appreciate the super chat there. Sorry I missed that earlier, but that's awesome. A lot, this is really my only source of income, is working here on YouTube doing the live streams, and it's not much, but it's all I do, and I do it because I enjoy it. I don't necessarily need to make a lot of money. I just need enough to survive. And do what I love, right? And that is finding good deals, helping people with their photography, and sharing this passion, right? And enjoying each other's work. So thank you, Paul. I really appreciate that. Okay, let me go back down. I see something else here. A hiker dude says, what was the make model of the hot shoe attachment you have that allows you to have a flash and remote shutter? Oh, okay, I have that remote shutter release. So I used that in my last video with the two light setup. If you look closely in that video, you'll see the flash attachment. But if you go over to the main page here, right, robtrek.com, amazon.com slash shop slash robtrek, right? But even if you go to my deal page, you just have to, you can back out up here and go over here to flash photography. And I think it's, oh, it's not here. Let me see. Maybe I put it in. I'm going to have to put it in the flash photography window. Maybe it's in this. All right, hold on. I'll just go to my shopping cart. I'll find it there. And then I'll add it to so it's this thing. So I'm going to add this to my deal page. It's kind of back up to its normal price. I think I paid, and I'll give you the link. I think I paid $10 for it when it was on sale. So this thing, this device here, let me just see what I paid. Because if you're not in a hurry, you can wait. Oh no, I paid $18.34. All right, never mind. I thought I paid $10, but I had a coupon. I had a gift card for like $9 or something. So that's why I thought I paid $9. So I paid about $1 less. So I use this to mount. So let me give you. I should just go get it. I think it's in my studio. One second. All right, it wasn't there. Oh, I put it back here. I still got. I still have the. I still have the X3 Pro trigger attached to it. So I actually did a couple of things. I have the flash bracket itself. I have the X3 Pro trigger, but in between I have the Godox. What they call this TR. The Godox TR. Oh. This allows me to mount, you know, tilt this up so I can see it better. And I'll show you on. Jeez. I was doing some birding yesterday with flash. So this is my OM1. Let me put a more reasonable lens on here. Because I do need to give you a couple of caveats with using this. So this is what I did. I used this. I tilt this up because I had my OM1 on a tripod, and I used this adapter. So just an idea, because this is TTL compatible. The flash bracket itself is TTL compatible. This is the Canon version, though. The Canon uses the same pinout as Olympus. So it's just a pass-through, right? Passive connectors here. There's no electronics. So I put this here, and then I put my remote trigger over here on one setup. Now what you cannot do is use two TTL flashes, right? For whatever reason, when I put two Godox flashes on here, or I put a trigger and a Godox flash, the TTL only works on one side, if I recall. So there's some limitations. The way you want to use this is you can have a TTL on one side and then maybe some non-TTL device over here, and you can control it in manual. So I wasn't able to get dual TTL to work, but I was able to get TTL on this side and manual on this side. So let's say I want to do this. Actually, the way this is balanced, I should put the lighter one on this side, put the heavier one on this side. Just because it's shorter, right? Less torque on the shoe mount. And I probably wouldn't put two flashes on top of your camera anyway, because it would just be, it's just unnecessary weight. So let me put this in TTL mode. Let me see what actually happens. All right, mechanical shutter. Okay, that worked. So the TTL is working here. And then let me get another TTL flash. Let's say I want to control this off camera with the trigger. Put this in receiver mode. And I'm on channel 28. Okay. Good. It fires. So I'm going to turn off. So I'm going to turn off the V480 for now and just see if the TTL works on the right side by itself. And let me turn up the aperture. Okay, TTL works separately. Now, if I turn them both on at the same time in TTL mode, let me see what happens. It's working. Let me turn the aperture up higher. Well, I stand corrected. TTL mode seems to work on both at the same time with this setup. And then, of course, obviously manual mode will work as well. I don't know why. I remember distinctly that I was having problems with dual TTL, though. Maybe it's when I have both flashes on at the same time rather than a trigger. Sometimes, of course, the IT32 is really... Ah, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, it's a little bit overexposed. So what I'm getting, when I do it this way, right? TTL on both flashes, I'm getting double the exposure because it's sending the same TTL signal to both. So it's overexposing. But you know, honestly, I haven't spent a lot of time figuring out what configurations work and what combinations work, because I use it primarily with the trigger and with my remote flash trigger and my remote shutter trigger. Those are the two things I attach to that, rather than doing it like what a lot of people might think it's used for, like that. But I use it mainly as a mount for different things. Okay. If you have any other questions or you want me to try something, I can try it. Okay. Keeping my question for the time when you come to lens selection, have you ever used the Astrophotography 9mm f2.8? I'm searching for a wide angle rectilinear. I have not used it. I'm trying to think. I thought they were supposed to send me that lens, actually. Let me check my email. No, you know what? I decline reviewing that lens. But I haven't used it. I haven't used it. Let me look at it real quick, though. It might be just a rebrand of one that I have tested. Esther. Let me just look at it real quick. No, it's not a rebrand. It's pretty distinct. And there's no reviews of it on Amazon here. I mean, Astrophotography has made some really good lenses in the past that were not rebrands. They were kind of unique to Astrophotography. And this looks like one of them. I mean, the all-metal build is certainly very attractive. But yeah, I can't speak to the image quality. It looks... Yeah, no. And this is rectilinear, you say? Wide angle field of view, magnificent 9, excellent. It doesn't say specifically that it's rectilinear, but it does look rectilinear. But you know, honestly, for $169, I don't see any downside to it. It's pretty cheap. But if you're thinking about using it for astrophotography, and let's see if they talk about that. I mean, you can't always rely on what the manufacturer says about it. But usually excellent for starry sky, effectively control noise. Yeah, they don't talk about it specifically, but sometimes I've seen lenses that say, the manufacturer will say that it's particularly good for astrophotography because it doesn't have chroma and other kind of effects that are undesirable in wide field astrophotography. So this looks perfectly fine. It's just a wide angle street lens, but I don't know about, you know, how it would be for astro. And do you have a docking station for station PC with an added storage? You can put an SSD in the dock and back up everything in the portable unit. No, I don't. I don't have one of those. Um, what you're referring to is, yeah, it's a docking station with a built-in SSD. No, I don't have one of those. I just have a regular docking station. So I don't know if you're asking me to find one that's decent. Ugreen makes some really good ones. Let's see. I really like this one. They were gonna send me one and pay me to review this, but I declined. It's just because it's a little bit over my head. The PC technology stuff. But Ugreen has a good one. I really liked it. I just didn't want to review it. Ugreen. Uh, where is it? Ugreen docking. Let me search for docking station. This might be it. It's not. I bet if I go to their site, it'll be there. Ugreen 2-bay, 4-bay. Thunderbolt. I think it's this one. So this is similar to what you're talking about, right? It has SSD slots, 3 Thunderbolt 5s, 8K, dual 8K, all that stuff. This looks really good, and it's 22% off. That's a good deal. I'll add this to my deal page. Man, I should think about upgrading mine. I don't need the SSD part, but I have a Thunderbolt 4. That's a good deal though, $389. But just make sure you get Thunderbolt 5 cables and stuff, right? So that you kind of future-proof yourself for upgrading later. Because a lot of times when you're buying a docking station, you're adding it to your older PC, right? That may not have Thunderbolt 5, but you want to buy Thunderbolt 5 cables for it. Oh, you went there and realized something you need very wide. Yeah, I would consider the 6mm, but that's not rectilinear. But if you want rectilinear, yeah, that 9mm looks like a good deal for Master Hori. And if you can afford it, take a look at the Leica. Yeah, the Leica 9mm is probably the best because it has the autofocus built in. But it's like $500, right? But that's a good lens. And Henning is here. Good to see you. And Ian says, I can't bring myself to buy the Lumix 9mm as I don't use it enough, but the Laowa 7.5 f2 Dreamer is fabulous. Oh, okay. Yeah, I believe that's rectilinear also. It has to have the letter, I think the letter D in it, meaning it's defished. I don't know what the D stands for. I'm just making that up. But yeah, that's a good lens too. Yeah, the Laowa is rectilinear, but it has to have the letter D in it, I think. And it's pretty close to the Lumix 9mm. Ooh, wow, okay. I would just buy the 9mm then. But the wider the better sometimes. No, I'm talking about the station PC that you showed. There's a docking station for it that is $129 that you, oh, okay. No, I didn't buy the docking station because I don't need to dock it. I'm sorry. I went through all of that for nothing on the previous thing. The no, I didn't buy the docking station for it, so I can't speak to how that works. Not a bad idea though. But what I do is when I want to transfer things back to my PC, there's a USB-C port here. I can just plug this into my laptop directly and transfer it to my computer. I guess the docking station would make more sense because there's pins here for the docking station here on the front. I guess you kind of put it in this way. But I'm content with, how much is it? $129? What do you get for that? Where's my... So the dock, this dock has dock for the portable NAS, which is the other thing. Oh, it has its own SSD built in. Okay, that's a little different. All right, so I guess it makes it kind of an all-in-one solution, right? But for me, I just bought like a, $12 USB cable and plugged it in directly. And the SSDs are in my laptop, or I have external hard drives that I back up to from here. So I didn't see a need in my use case for one of these. Yeah, you can put a large SSD. So yeah, I mean it is, if you want to have an external, rather than buying, say, like I bought this Ugreen external storage SSD case holder. I wonder if it feels like there's an SSD in here. Might be like a 1 terabyte one in here. I bought one of these, and these are like $30, I guess. They're not that expensive. If I wanted to have an external SSD besides this, or besides a docking station, I should say. But this would streamline the workflow a little bit, right? If you get that docking station. So you have an external SSD attached to your computer at all times. And then when you come back from your travels, you just plug in your external SSD right into there. So it's, if for $129, it's on sale for what, $117. If you can justify the workflow, it makes sense to get it, right? If it's going to save you time in your workflow. But from a practical standpoint, in my workflow, it doesn't fit in. Yeah, it is a good solution. Like I said, I think for a particular use case, it would make a lot of sense to have an external SSD that you can directly dock this into and back up very quickly. Okay, let me go back to my deal page and see if there's any last minute things here that I wanted to go over. Lots of good flash stuff on sale here. Interesting device. I've talked about a lot of this stuff. I didn't find any really particularly good deals on lens filters or accessories. I only found the one. The OM3 is still on sale. The thing with camera deals is every time they have a sale, they say it ends on this day, right? And then that day comes and goes and the thing is still on sale. So you know, they do that, I think, just to kind of create a sense of urgency so that you buy it sooner rather than later. But now that the OM3, among other cameras like the Nikon Z6 III, is on sale for $19.99, really good deal on that too. Uh, they go on sale again pretty quickly. So I don't see, I don't buy into this, you know, buy it before it's not on sale. Once in a blue moon, that will come along where I really do believe that this is a good deal now, get it while it's here. So a couple of good examples is like the memory cards. Man, when I saw these 256 gig V60 memory cards on sale for like $35 to $40, I said, you need to get these now before they're gone because they won't be back. And that's exactly what happened. So once in a while, I'll see something like that. Sometimes it'll be a tripod. Sometimes it'll be, you know, whatever accessory. I'll see specifically deals like that. Today, to be honest, I don't see too many deals like that. This NAS drive goes on sale every few months, like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. It's only been out a year, but I've only the last time it's been several months since when did I buy this? The last time this was on sale, I bought mine December, so now it's what, April? So 4 months. It took 4 months for this to go on sale again, for the price that I paid. Let me double check what I paid, because I'm looking at this. It says December 29th, right? So I'm going to do view order. I paid $239.99, so it's the same price. So this is a good deal now. Otherwise you're going to have to wait 4 months. Okay, if you want this, I would get it now. Because in 4 months it'll be, you know, it's going to be $299 for 4 months, and then it'll go on sale again probably. Maybe for Black Friday or something like that. Okay, if there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we can end it here, but I'm going to just double check my deal page and see if there was an, oh yeah, I did. This light stand is awesome. I bought a couple of these. These from any other manufacturer. This is a generic reflex camera brand or whatever. Uh, but this is sold under different brand names for twice as much. So if I just scroll down, right? Let's see if we can find another one. Yeah, like this one. No, that's the same one. Hold on. What's the height on this one? 7 foot 3 inch, 88 inches. Why? This is the same exact one over here. Same brand even. And they're asking, so $25 here, $40 here. Who's the seller? Sold by Price Lover. Who's this sold by? Price. That's weird. This is the same exact. Oh, this is the carbon fiber. Okay, my bad. I don't see a need for carbon fiber, but because it's already pretty small and lightweight. But I'll show you this thing. It's hard to find. All right, I'm not going to be able to find an example right away. Oh, No. Oh, here's one. This is pretty much the same thing, but this has the flip locks. All right, I won't waste any more time. Trust me, I've seen this same exact tripod selling for twice as much, or 40% more at the very least. So $25 is a good deal for that, not tripod, I'm sorry, light stand. It's really compact and portable, and you can just take a couple of those with a couple umbrellas, a couple of 8100 Pros, just like I did in my last video, and go anywhere with it. It's so lightweight, and it's stable enough for the 8100 Pros. I wouldn't put like an 8600 on there. It's not that strong, you know, because it's just aluminum. But it's a good light. It's a good light stand. I like this one. It's so compact. It folds down to just very small size. I might get another one, because I typically I have one that's made of steel. This is just kind of a thin aluminum. I have one made of steel that I can put much heavier lights on, but it's not quite as compact as this. So anywho, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much for your support and using my affiliate links down below. I'll be back Friday for my photo editing stream, and then Sunday for my normal photo chat. I really appreciate you joining me today. Have a good day. Do that every day. You'll have a good life, right? And eat healthy and exercise, because I want to see you guys for a long time. Thanks again, and I hope